I have seen Lion King before when I was a mere child. Um, and I didn't really psychologically analyze it, obviously, but I was just completely traumatized. Probably most of us were. Um, but this was a suggestion I found from my donations. And thank you so much for everyone who's been helping me out. And also, we're at 25K, 25,000 people here. Hello. Makes me nervous. I was not expecting this to go like this at all. Like, at all. But I'm like incredibly grateful for everyone. But it's just insane. Insane. Can't wrap my head around it. But anyways, yeah. So this was a suggestion from my donations is a radical personality transformation. Jordan Peterson psychoanalyzes Disney's Lion King. And I'm just like I think psychology, first of all, is so interesting. So I really wanted to share this with you guys and watch this together because, Disney movies usually hide a bunch of, stuff, so some messages. So let's see what this video is about, guys.
This is the initiation scene, right? Which we talked about at the beginning of the class. This is the descent into the underworld. And it's a prerequisite to radical personality transformation. So anyways, he goes through this horrifying underground tunnel system where everything's all tangled up, which is, you'll know if you ever fall into chaos that everything down there in chaos is tangled up. It's a tangled mess. And there's horrifying music going on in the background, and he goes deeper and deeper until Rafiki says he finds a pool in the middle of the chaos, a deep pool. And that's another symbol of the self. It's the deep unconscious. There's something down there that's alive that can be drawn up to the surface. And so Rafiki shows him the pool, and Simba, who's quite terrified at this point, looks in it, and the first thing he sees is he only sees himself. He only sees his own reflection, and Rafiki says, look deeper. Now
I really wonder if when they made this movie, they thought about all these aspects. Did they give like the tangledness and this pool this like was it made because they wanted this, like did they give it this purpose when they were making it, or did Peterson give it the purpose later on when he was psychoanalyzing it, or like was it meant to be, or yeah, someone definitely understood what I'm going for with that.
see what the animators do here. It's very cool. So there's Simba and there's his reflection, but you see that is already half his father, and you look at the difference in the eyebrows and the look. So there's a tightness of jaw and a firmness of face that's starting to manifest itself there, and that means that he's starting to see the man he could be beyond the adolescent. That's a good way of thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, well, there, that's a whole different face, right? That's a seriously different face. That everything's going in, and that it's like, get out of my way because things are going to happen around me. Very judgmental as well. So it's not naive by any stretch of the imagination, but we know his father's a good guy, and so there's something archetypal about this. And so he sees the man he could be reflected back to him, and then that actually becomes a cosmic event, and we switch up to the sky instead. And so Mufasa manifests himself basically as a solar deity. And he tells Simba that he's forgotten who he is, which is the son of a king, and that he should remember that and start acting like it. And that's an archetypal idea. So if you're just a useless adolescent, then you've forgotten who you are. And the
Useless? Okay.
consequence of that is that the state is going to fall apart around you, and you're not going to do anything to fix it, and you're not going to be good for anything, and no one's going to be able to rely on you, and you're going to be all whiny and resentful. And then after that, it even gets worse. And so that's basically what Mufasa tells him. And so Simba is like blown away by this vision, right? Because
I saw, by the way, guys, if you like his videos, I saw another one about Frozen. Is Frozen Propaganda was the title of the video, and I wouldn't mind watching it because yesterday I was eating pizza at a friend's house, and she has a child, and we were watching Frozen with him. It was awesome. It was awesome. Um, and so yeah, this is just super interesting to me, and especially because I really like psychology. I would, if there was a whole kind of like a movie review type thing about the psychology of Disney movies, I would watch them.
He sees what he could be and also what he's not, which is pretty damn horrifying. So anyways, the storm, so to speak, clears, and Rafiki comes up, and Simba's a lot more thoughtful and not quite as whiny and resentful anymore, and Rafiki leaves. And so Simba now knows what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to stop being useless and take on the moral requirements of setting.
Useless is such a bold statement for a teenager. Come on. You need to stop being useless. I'd be like, oh, okay. Okay.
The kingdom straight. And so he runs back across the desert. There's all sorts of impressive music happening, and then he comes back to his kingdom, and it's not looking so good. And that's the consequence of his abandonment of it. That's a big part of it. So now it's dead, but also his abandonment of it to nothing but malevolence and chaos. And so he's pretty taken aback at what's happened, and that he exaggerates his guilt, or it should anyways. And
I don't think he abandoned it, if I remember correctly, but
Nella shows up, and they decide they're going to do something about this. So in the meantime, Simba's mother is complaining about the fact that there's no food in the kingdom anymore and that they've gone as far as they can, and Scar doesn't want to hear this, so he attacks her, and Simba decides to go to war. And so this is where he wakes up, and he's willing to encounter the shadow at this point. And
by the way, this is quite graphic and quite tough for a children's movie. Like, you know, he decides to go to war. And this is a children's movie.
So he confronts Scar, and Scar's very concerned about this because actually Simba's looking pretty impressive now, and he thought he was dead besides. And so he tries to use treachery and whininess and subordination to excuse himself, but he's planning to overthrow Simba nonetheless, to resist him. So he tells Scar to leave. He's going to banish him to the nether regions outside of the kingdom, like Scar did to him. And Scar basically refuses.
See, he didn't abandon the kingdom. He made him go, basically.
And then a storm gathers, right? And lights the deadwood around the rock on fire. So we have another kind of descent into hell scene here. Very common in Disney movies, this notion of the hero fighting the evil force on the edge of something.
Sorry, I had to stop because descent into hell. I mean, I don't know if Disney brings a lot of religion to its movies, but he's like made kind of several comments about kind of like in a religious way, which is kind of interesting to me. I mean, this kind of, yeah, there's fire below, and you know, I guess, but I also wonder if this was made in like with the thoughts of it being kind of like a religious scene, you know, or if it's just like the bad and the good, or the evil and the good, and he's bringing the religion into it, or the other way around, if that makes sense. Not judging at all. I'm just like questioning it.
Hero fighting the evil force on the edge of something that's burning. It's quite a common motif. You see it in Sleeping Beauty, for example. So they have a big war, and Scar ends up putting Simba in the same position that Mufasa was in, and then he whispers to him that he killed his father. So Simba's been thinking all along that it was only his fault, and it is sort of his fault, but he didn't know that there was a more archetypal theme playing out in the background, which is that societies are always endangered by malevolence, always, and that's independent to some degree of Simba's decisions and his lack thereof. Anyway, Scar tells him because he thinks he's won, and that energizes Simba to have this sort of final battle, he leaps out from the pit and they have a big fight and he pins him basically, and the female lionesses come to his aid, and Simba tells him that again that he has to leave, and so they have a big fight. That's a particularly good bit of animation, so there's a real demonic aspect to Scar there, sort of king of hell imagery, but he loses. And then
I absolutely get the reference, but I just wonder if it was made like that on purpose. Interesting.
king of hell imagery, but he loses. And then he blames his minions, he blames the hyenas for everything terrible that's happening, forgetting that they can hear him, and then he falls off the cliff and the hyenas go in and finish him off. So it's a pretty brutal ending for poor old Scar.
Poor old Scar. Yeah, I remember feeling bad for him as well. A lot of people have been saying in my comments that I'm a complete empath, which is true. I feel bad for everyone. It's not a way to go. Poor Scar. He could have changed, most likely. But you know, talk smack and you get something. You get it back.
Eaten by his own minions. And then Scar's dead and Simba has won, and so the rains come immediately. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that when proper order is restored in a kingdom, then everything starts to flourish again. And so the rains come, and then while it's raining, Simba climbs up to the top of the rock, and now he's completely mature, right? The pathetic facial expression disappears entirely, and he straightens himself up because now he's full of serotonin after having defeated good old Scar. And all the lionesses are roaring, and he climbs up Pride Rock and they roar at him, which is good. They're tough and he's tough and they're showing their teeth. It's not a society of naive and harmless creatures. It's something that's got some bite. And the rains come, and then the next thing you see is the restoration of the kingdom. And so basically what that means is that if the individual is willing to confront their own shadow and then to take on the malevolent forces that continually undermine society, then harmony can be restored and everyone can do well. And so then we have a return to the beginning, right? And so Simba and Nala are now a couple, along with Pumbaa and Timon. And
Pumbaa is my favorite character of the whole movie. He's so cute.
They have a baby. And Rafiki shows up and does the same thing. You know, he's going to present the baby to the sun and have all the animals bow again, and that's the end of the movie.
It's so interesting to see someone psychoanalyze Disney movies. I find it fascinating. Let me know if you'd like to see more content like this, because I don't mind at all doing it, or let's better phrase that. I love watching videos like this. I think it's fascinating. And I really hope you liked watching this with me. Thank you for joining. And please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.